Where you have to be careful is if other people are part of that story.
Yes.
If you get the wrong perspective, but it would definitely be different. Yes. Selling a house, what you're buying is the land and the structure, right? Those are the facts of the matter. You're buying land and you're buying the structure. You're not buying the furniture. Yes, and that's what storytelling does. It allows your audience to place themselves in what it is you're trying to give.
Yes.
The facts of the matter is you're not buying any of that stuff.
Right. That ask is placing them in the story.
Yes.
And so like I said, oh, so the work isn't all mine.
Yes.
What you're saying, you're asking me to do this piece of work. Got it. I'm on. Right? All right. Welcome to this episode of Leadership Unfiltered, where we're going to be discussing storytelling as an effective tool as a leader. What it takes to be a good storyteller and the impacts that being a good storyteller and not being a good storyteller can have on your teams, on your clients, and on the people that you need to get a message to. We'll discuss some of the different ways to tell stories and become a good storyteller and how to use that as a tool as a leader. I am Dr. Dayan Douse, and I am a coach and facilitator of transformational behavior. And I'm with my co-host.
I'm Phillip Smith. I am coder by blood, architect by trade, and leader by choice.
Excellent. So I like to think of myself as a good storyteller, but there are rules to storytelling.
Yes.
And we want to talk about some of those. The structure is a good way to frame this. The structure to storytelling. Just how do you tell a good story? How do you tell that story succinct? Because long drawn out stories, particularly in the business world, do not go over well because people are always on some type of timeline where they're trying to get something done. And the delay in trying to get to whatever point you're trying to make in your story just doesn't bode well in a corporate setting. It doesn't bode well in a personal setting either because you lose people. And so you want to be able to tell a good story. Then the impact of telling a good story is you connect people to an objective.
Yes.
So there's something that you're trying to communicate that you need people to understand to get people moving in a certain direction. And a good story is a good way to connect them to what you already see and know where you're going, and to tell them this is where we're trying to get to can be effective. But if you can tell a story with it, it sets context, it connects people, it brings people along to where you are and keeps people moving. But it has to be a good story because it can have a backfire, negative effect. And then as opposed to bringing people along and connecting them to the objective, you could actually lose them. And now you've got to backtrack and you're wasting more time. So some of the structure around telling a good story is kind of a three-part structure. The first part being context.
Yes.
Always want to start your story with context, and that is the so what? Why does this even matter? Why are we having this conversation? So you need to get people on board there. That is usually where people start with not being good storytellers, is they don't tell context. They don't set context up front. Even as we do this podcast, if you'll notice, when we start the podcast, the very first thing we do is tell you what we're going to talk about, and then we try to set context. Even before we introduce ourselves, we want you to know why this match should matter to you, why you want to be engaged in this topic. Because you have a choice. You can tune out. You could go do something more valuable with your time if you decide this isn't for me. So context is number one. After you set the context, you want to get to the so what. So what do you need? What are you asking for? After you set context, tell the story. And then the final piece is the ask. Do you need something as part of this story? And so if you can just kind of go through that structure, you can keep it simple, you can keep it concise. Then if they ask for more, because people like to tell stories, if they ask for more detail, then you can give more detail. But you really want to get to those three things And that will give you a good, succinct story. I just did a facilitation for a company, and storytelling was part of the topics that we were discussing with this leadership team. One of the things I shared with them is Ernest Hemingway, one of the greatest storytellers of all time. And he was known for telling very powerful, direct, but simple stories. And a friend of his challenged him to tell a full, complete story in less than 10 words. And so he actually wrote this. He said, "For sale, baby shoes, never worn." In 6 words, he told a complete story. Now, you might ask, what makes that a complete story? It's those 3 things. 1, you knew the emotion in the story right away. You didn't need any extra explanation. And you understood the situation in 6 words. So, your stories can be succinct and powerful and direct, and you don't need a lot of words to tell a story.
I love that. It's so true. As someone who likes to use a lot of words. Words are my friend. They've been my friend since childhood. It's really good to be reminded of what really makes a good story. I package, what you just said as KFD. Know, feel, do.
Yeah.
What is it that you want them to know? What is it that you want them to feel? And what is it that you want them to do?
Yeah.
And so as you're thinking about the stories that you want to tell, that should be a through line through that. Because stories are our way of connecting. Because it's one thing to say, here is academically something.
Yes.
But when you can take what is academically knowable and you apply it to the human condition, and you apply it to a lived experience, and you can tell that lived experience, it resonates. It's much more powerful. So storytelling is how we connect. It's such an embedded part of the human condition that we have to leverage it if we want to be effective leaders.
Yes.
It's a tool, it's a powerful tool for influence and advocacy.
Yes.
What you're trying to do is advocate for something. Storytelling is a very powerful way to do it. And you see it all around you.
Yes.
And so getting good at telling stories is so important. And the thing that I would also add is stories have a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yes.
I have a former coworker who was infamous for telling really bad stories.
Yes.
To the point where when someone else was telling a bad story, we'd be like, oh, that's one of that person's name story. Now, I won't put him on blast.
No, don't do that.
I won't do that. But, I mean, that was like, oh, you just told a blank story, which is infamous for a story that had no point.
Yes.
It had a beginning, it had somewhat of a middle, but there was no end. and so you're left going, so why did you tell us that story? And so if folks are walking away from that ineffective storytelling, and so the way to make sure that your storytelling is effective is how you begin, with context. And the key part of context is knowing your audience.
Yes.
Like, who are you telling the story to?
Yes.
Right? Because the stories that you tell are different based on who you're talking to.
Yes.
So if you're talking to a group of 3rd graders, you're going to tell a different story than if you're talking to a group of CEOs.
Right.
Those are different stories. And they're not better or worse, they're just different.
Yes.
And so it's really important to understand your audience and do that audience analysis. Is really important to one of the things that I love from watching Project Runway forever ago is edit. And how do you get it down to its essence?
Yeah.
Because as we've talked about before, most of human communication isn't in the words that we use. It's in body language, it's in tone.
Yes.
You can, to your point, tell a very powerful story in very few words. And often the fewer words that you use, the more effective the story can be.
Yes.
Because you are inside finding those words is a lot of potency. You find the things that are going to resonate. You find the things that are going to connect. And so I would absolutely say context is key. Now, I do have a friend who's an excellent storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Dan Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
He tells the best stories. And I've learned so much from just how he structures a story and how he tells a story. Now, I suspect that it's innate and natural to him.
Yeah.
And from a storytelling perspective, but I also think he practices it. I think he actually puts some time and effort into honing his stories.
Yeah.
And because I think some people think that, oh, I can't retell a story. Yes, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
Stories are meant to be retold
Yes.
and retold and retold.
Yes.
I know whenever I go and see my grandmama, I know the 5 sets of stories I'm going to hear.
Yes.
And it's wonderful.
Yes.
It's absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
So I always say, don't be concerned that every story needs to be unique and you need to tell a different story. You can retell the story. Now, where you have to be careful is if other people are part of that story.
Yes.
Also, accept that how you remember it may not be how they remember it.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yes.
I tell a story about my husband, and he's heard me tell the story about him, and he said, that's not how I remember it.
Yeah.
I don't remember it that way. I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay that you don't remember it
That's
that
right.
way. That's how I remember it.
Yes.
And that's how I'm going to tell it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And as a leader, you're always telling stories.
Yeah.
Whether you think about it that way or not, if you are sharing a direction that you want your team to go, you usually don't say, we're going from A to B and then walk away, right? You give them kind of the story behind where we are and where we're going and how we're going to get there, right? That's part of your storytelling. As you are maybe presenting something to your boss or to the C-suite, in your presentation is a story, right? And so you may not think of it as storytelling like as a kid where you're, reading a book and, there's a story there. But when you're presenting, when you're facilitating, you're trying to get a message across, and in that communication, in trying to get that message across, you're telling it in story, because you need your audience to hear it in that story form because they're going to connect to it in different ways.
Yes.
And if you just give them the punchline, you're going to miss people in the audience. You're going to miss people with, oh, we're just going from A to B. Because now they want to know, well, how did we start at A? I thought we started someplace else. And how are we getting to B if I'm not sure how we started at A? So you have to tell the stories because some people know how you started at A. Some people know what B looks like. Some people threw C in there. And if you just say we're going from A to B and not give it story, you don't get everybody. So the story allows everybody to connect to it in different ways. So to your point, how you see it versus how your husband saw it, you still have the story that you both share in a different perspective.
Yes.
And without that story, you tell the story, or you don't tell the story to me and say, well, this is just how it happened. Now I'm like, well, I don't get it. If he could tell that same story and I get a different perspective.
You get the wrong perspective. But it would definitely be different. Yes.
We'll edit that out.
And this is what works for me. This is where it really, kind of sank into me how powerful storytelling is. It's real estate. Selling a house. What you're buying is the land and the structure, right? Those are the facts of the matter. You're buying land and you're buying the structure. You're not buying the furniture. You're not buying what's the art that's on the walls. You're not buying any of that. But houses that are staged houses that have furniture in them, that have art on the wall, that have plants.
Yes.
Because what it allows is the person walking through them to see them living there.
Yes. To tell
And-
their own story.
Yes, and that's what storytelling does.
Yes.
It allows your audience to place themselves
Yes.
in what it is you're trying to give.
Yes.
The facts of the matter is you're not buying any of that stuff.
Right.
And the facts of the story that you're putting together, the facts that are in the story, that's what's salient and what's important.
Yes.
But in order to make it resonate, you gotta have the furniture, you gotta have the plants,
Yes.
you gotta have the art,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that people can see themselves in it.
That's good.
And while you may think, again, because I know there may be some engineers in the audience, but like, just the facts.
Yeah.
It's like, but you will lose the people.
Yeah.
And so I have found that when you, again, getting ready to influence, and when you're trying to really, as a leader, secure resources for your team,
Mhm.
when you're trying very hard to get your team to see where they're going and where you're trying to go, you're really looking to influence. You gotta have the furniture and the plants.
Yes.
You gotta.
Yes. And I love that analogy. I'm going to use that. And they tell you too much can be a distraction,
Yes.
right? So too much furniture and art.
Yes. Yes.
You walk through there and you be like, I can't see myself. Or color on the walls.
Yes.
Right? So in your story can be distractions
Yes.
that take you away from the point.
Yes.
Right? So that middle piece, context, the point, the ask, that point piece is critical in that you can distract people if you don't get to the point.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can't see yourself in the story.
Yes, because if I walk into a place and it's got hot pink walls in the same room as a chessboard floor,
Yes.
in the same room that has paneling on the walls,
Right. Yes.
like, I'm going to struggle seeing myself there.
Yes.
I'm sure there will be someone that would resonate with.
Yes. Yes.
Probably the person that installed it. But everyone else is going to be like, yeah,
Yes. Yes.
no.
And the fact is, as you're telling your story and people are placing themselves in it, they're also telling themselves a story.
Exactly.
Right? And so you want them to tell a similar story back to the story of you and your husband.
Yes.
Even though it's slightly different, it's still in the same
Yes.
realm, right?
Yes.
It's not totally different.
Yes.
The person you want themselves telling themselves a story about how they see themselves in it to be a positive experience.
Yes.
Right? Not, no. This seems like a lot of work.
Yes.
You just told me a story that sounds like I'm about to run into a hot mess.
Yes.
So, no thank you. So this is why the structure is important, to set that context, get to the point, and then the ask is really important because
Yes.
now people want to know, okay, all that was great. I'm trying to picture myself in this story, and I'm not sure what you're asking of me.
Yes.
And so now you need to, that ask is placing them in the story.
Yes.
And so like I said, oh, so the work isn't all mine.
Yes.
What you're saying, you're asking me to do this piece of the
yes.
work. Got it. I'm on. Right? I'm on board with that. Or what you just asked me, no thank you. I don't want any part of that. So that is important. Our leaders probably told in the same setting a story about getting to the point. And it's called The Bull is Dead.
Yes.
I'm okay. The bull is dead.
Yes.
Right? And we'll make the story short and succinct. There's a longer version, but kid, rural area, drives into town. Needs to be back home by curfew. Doesn't make it. On his way back home, though, rushing, because he's now missed curfew, hits a bull, kills it. Calls home, says, first thing when his father answers the phone, says, I'm okay. The bull is dead. And his father's like, what in the hell are you talking about? And he's like, you missed your curfew. He's like, but I'm okay, the bull is dead. Long story, again, it gets longer, better. That's my way of telling it in my succinct way. Philip's probably got another version of that. Is that he gave him the point first, right? That way the dad can ask questions, can figure out what's most important in the story, that he was okay. He doesn't really understand what's going on yet, but from there you can give more information. If he'd have started off in that story with, Dad, I'm sorry, we were having a good time, I was with this person and that person and this was happening, all the dad hears is noise and that you missed instruction, right? You did not meet curfew. And so it was important for us to hear that as leaders. So we were given that story as leaders to say, one, from that leader who was sharing that with us, if you're talking to me, get to the point.
Yeah.
Tell me that you're okay, the bull is dead.
Yes.
Right? Don't give me the long version of the story first and then get to I'm okay, the bull is dead. Because as that senior leader was explaining to us, I don't have time.
Exactly.
Right? That is getting to the point. I'm reading a book right now I just started reading called Get to the Point. One of the things they say in the book is you want to say in your head when you're trying to make a point, I believe. Don't say that part out loud. I believe, and then after that comes your point. I believe ice cream is good. Now that's a point. It's not really a good point because the second part of the I believe is what you state as your point needs to be arguable. You need somebody on the other end of that point to be able to argue a difference. Otherwise, you're not making a point. They're just going to agree, or not disagree. I don't think ice cream is that good, or ice cream is good. A good point is, I believe ice cream is better than yogurt. That is a point. Just ice cream is good is not a point. Because then the audience gets to say, oh no, I believe yogurt is much better. As a matter of fact, sherbet is better than yogurt and ice cream. Now you have brought people into the conversation. A simple statement of I believe ice cream is good might be a point in your story, but now you've lost the audience because they're like, yeah, I agree or don't agree, and the conversation's over. So make your point, start with in your head, I believe, and make sure your point is arguable on the other side.
The ability for the other person to engage is so important. Both pieces, the bull is dead, and making sure you're making a point are critical, and to open with that. And so often I see this classic mistake, which is I'm not going to get to the point to the end. I'm going to walk them through all of my thinking so that they can see that the conclusion that I reached is the right conclusion. Don't do that. Do not do that. What you want to think about is, how do I tell the story succinctly in a way where they're able to walk away with what I need them to walk away from out of the gate. And then you can fill in the details as you go. Like, here's the conclusion. Here is the beginning, middle, and end, right here. Right? And then you can say the details around that beginning, middle, and end is the conversation. Because the purpose of the story isn't to get them to see the world the way you see it. The purpose of the story is to connect and engage so you can have the conversation in order to get them to see the world the way you see it. That is the purpose of the story in the corporate setting. Now there are other, things around storytelling that are really about experience and knowledge transfer, from like a tribal perspective. That's not what we're talking about. Right? We're not like sitting around campfire telling stories. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about in the corporate setting.
Not ghost stories.
Exactly. We're talking about how do you leverage storytelling to advance leadership. And and that is it's a different skill set. Or I would say it's the same skill set, just applied in a different context.
There you go.
That will be very helpful and beneficial if you're able to master it.
That's good. That's great clarification between the differences in what we're trying to communicate here, which is around leadership and advancing a team, an organization, a deliverable, resources, as opposed to knowledge.
Right. Because you're trying to get other people to move.
Yes.
You're trying to get people to do something.
Yes.
And in order because you can't make anyone do anything,
Right.
as much as we would like to believe that we can or want to,
Yes.
you can't make anyone do anything. And so you have to appeal to them to take that step.
Yes.
And engage, and stories are just such an effective way of doing that.
Yeah. The other piece is, I would say, not to take emotion out of your story, but to understand where your emotion is in the story.
Yes.
If you are walking into a situation where you are highly emotional, and now you're going to tell a story behind it, you just have to be really careful that your emotions don't take over and that they come through in the story.
Yes.
Right? You said, some engineers in the audience, and they was just stick to the facts. Your stories don't need to be fiction, right? But they don't have to all be just the facts, right? A little bit of some of your experience, some of how you see the world can play in there, but this is where you have to be careful with the emotion of it.
Yes.
Because that can take your story off track, and now it becomes about you.
Yes.
Right? So as long as you're telling a story with emotion, but not emotional, right?
That's a very good distinction.
Is the best way to tell your story. So tell it with emotion, be engaged with it, lean into it, tell it with your full heart, your full chest, but don't be emotional about the story, because then, to your point, you're trying to get people to a place that you are emotionally.
Yes.
Right? I'm in this place emotionally, and I'm going to take you there. So how many times have I said to you as a coach, I'll sit down with a leader and I'll say, tell me what your challenges are. And they will begin to tell me a wonderful story.
Wonderful.
It's beautifully done. I mean, I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But as a coach, what I can't allow you to do is time travel me to an emotional place that you are in that story, because then I'm no longer good as a coach to you.
Correct.
Because now we're in the same place. And now I can only have sympathy for where you are, as opposed to being objective and staying in a place where I can coach you, versus now we're both emotional and we're both in tears, and that was a really good story, and I don't know what we're going to do from here. Right?
Yeah, I think I love the twist on this around being the recipient of a story. So, and the buzzer went off, and I so want to continue that part of it, which is, how do you as a leader process when someone's telling you a story? And how do you make sure that you stay where you need to be so that you can make the decisions that you need to make as that leader? That is a wonderful topic that we should dive into.
Yes. So part 2 of storytelling, but from the other side of receiving a story that can be both emotional and a little dicey to handle sometimes. All right, so we are at time. Our topic today was around storytelling as a leader and the impact and importance of storytelling, particularly when you're trying to connect people and get people on the same page around objectives, and really getting people to move in a certain direction, to gain resources. All those things can be achieved when you are a good storyteller. And there are 3 parts to being a good storyteller. There's setting context first. There is getting to the point second. And the third piece is the ask. So why does it matter? What's the insight or direction we need to go? And what's the ask? What do you need of me? If you can keep your story to those 3 points, then it will be a succinct story that everybody can connect to and move forward. Next time, we'll talk more about how do you receive those stories, particularly as a leader, and be able to make sound decisions based on what you hear. So with that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Make comments. We love to hear your feedback. It just helps us get better. And with that, we will see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Leadership Unfiltered. We hope you have found value in our conversation and are ready to take action in your leadership journey. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. And don't forget to connect with us on social media for more leadership insights and resources. Until next time, keep leading with purpose.